Hear that, Luigi? He's a fan of mine. What do you say, guys? You want to race on my team?
Wow.
You know something? It was really fun reviewing a racing game like Hot Wheels Beat That. If you haven't seen the video, the link will be in the description box below. So I figured I would do another racing game, and after spinning the real roulette, it just so happens to have landed on Cars Beta National, of all the games listed. Thank God it didn't land on Hummer's Badland, it probably would have been the end of me if it did. This game is the direct sequel to Disney Pixar Cars the video game, a game I've checked out a few years back under the name Cheese and Crackers, and again, link in the description if you're interested.
Well, hey, at least you're not playing a a Disney tie-in game, am I right?
But basically, to keep it brief, I thought while the game did capture the Disney feel with its cutscenes and wide range of characters, it was an average racing game at the end of the day. So let's see if the sequel, Beta National, can improve on some of the elements the first game lacked. But knowing that Mater is taking front and center on the PlayStation 2 cover, I can tell things are going to be interesting. That also reminds me, I am covering the PlayStation 2 edition of the game because I didn't know until recently that there is a PlayStation 3 edition of that game. So we boot the game up and here's that lamp with the Pixar logo in front. And while I'm here, I'm noticing something weird. I think I might have accidentally put in Cars the movie game instead due to seeing the same opening as the first game. Oh wait, it does say Beta National here. All I can say is, wow, talk about deja vu. I honestly thought I mistaken Beta National for Cars the video game because they're both similar, from the opening introduction, the still image with the game's logo, the theme song, and hell, even the menu layout is the same as well. I know the phrase being if it ain't broke don't fix it, but one of the things I like to look out for in a sequel is if the game tries to be bigger and more original than the previous game. Not to be identical. Even simply altering the opening menu really goes a long way to stand out. Already we are on a rocky start, but after naming our profile, let's see how story mode fares. The game opens up with, oh Jesus Christ almighty, it's Mater Gator. Mater explains in front of the camera that a brand new stadium is being built right in the heart of Radiator Springs, and an invitation has been sent out to all the best racers around the world to come on down and compete in the upcoming Mater National Championships, hosted by Mater and Lightning McQueen. And so the main objective is roughly the same as the first game, as you partake in races and events to progress the story until eventually the new stadium is finally built. The story overall is pretty basic, not really a whole lot to say. It does feel rushed as they try to explain the plot within the first 90 seconds and hope you'll be able to catch on, but I will say this, I'll definitely take this storyline over the actual Cars 2 movie any day of the week. What I do enjoy about the story is the new characters you'll be able to witness. Racers from Germany, Italy, Japan, England, and Sweden all gather around Radiator Springs to try and be the #1 best racer. These new characters bring in a lot of diversity, which really complements the Cars universe. It's a shame, however, that the new characters are generic as they come, as they all don't have much personality. They all have the same motive with I'm a race car and I'm here to race, but with a different accent. No way. Is that Mike and Sully from the movie that made them famous? Monster Truck Incorporated? And what sucks with the addition of these new characters, some well-known characters have to be left aside and removed from the game, like Sally and Chick Hicks to name a few, which is a bummer. Or I should say, bumper. I won't spend too much time on the graphics, as again the next gen hardware of the PlayStation 3 is much superior, whilst I have the PlayStation 2 version and it's the same look as the first game. Not bad, but could be better. So here we have the open world sandbox. Let's not waste time and jump into exploring. You know, Lightning, when I said jump into exploring, this isn't what I had in mind. In Mater National, you still explore Radiator Springs, Ornament Valley, and Taflin Pass, just as before. And the open sandbox structure is a bit better in my opinion. Sure, it's more smaller in scale due to the blockage of the races, which I will get to later, but if the open world bits and pieces have to have some sacrifice in order to produce better racetracks, then I'm okay with it. For starters, the map marker is much more visible, so now I can look over and know exactly where I need to go. Also, with each race and minigame before starting the event, they have their own space and they don't share the same spot. So no more driving over to an icon and scrolling through to find the right track, as now selecting a new event will save me from wasting time if I mistakenly chose the wrong event. It's almost like the developers really took the consumer's feedback and did what they can to improve on it in the next game. And that's something I can appreciate. There's also collectibles to find around, like paint jobs to customize Lightning's car, and wheel sets. If you collect all 4 tires in the set, you'll be able to select them and Lightning will wear them. I will admit, a couple of downsides about the open world here is that in each loading screen before starting an event, you have the same loading screen depending on the location. Compared to the previous game, each race and minigame had a unique loading screen, representing that event and bringing in some nice creative loading screens. A very minor issue, but you do notice these things in comparison. And also, no music plays when you are exploring around, which feels a bit quiet and awkward when you're casually driving around. Now, imagine if you're playing through a Spyro game and no music plays in the level. Pretty depressing stuff. The races themselves are also better. It's a lot more off-road, better layout, and more set pieces to check out, like Ornament Valley Airport when there's an airport to drive in, Real Well Circuit and there's somewhat of a mine area to check out, and this section here when you have to watch out for the tornadoes, look out Lightning! And what I like about those races is they all feel different and you don't drive through the same roads again. Comparing it to Cars the video game, the races felt almost like a constant repeat because I'm racing in the same area I've already raced in. I believe there were 2 races that were nearly the same, just in reverse order. So the new design of these tracks are a nice welcome. I didn't mind the Rust Bucket races, despite playing as Mater Nader, which reminds me of the fact that later on in the story, Mater Slater has developed a crush on one of the opponents and the story is being built around the Rust Bucket races and... yeah, can we not? I get that you need somewhat of a secondary story to balance the main story out, but I'm just not interested in it. In case you haven't noticed it by now, I do not understand the hype around Mater Bader.
If it isn't my best friend. What's going on?
There's also relay races. You race on a specific track, and just before you make it past a lap, you tag in one of your mates and you can take control of the next car. I don't really like them, and that is due to perhaps the developers were trying a little too much on creating new ideas, and the relay races didn't sit well for me. I honestly think the game would have been just fine without them. And once you have completed enough races, you can drive in the new stadium races, and they are good to race on. And each time you come back to that stadium, you have a new track and a new strategy to try and win first place. And you also have monster truck races, a feature that looks pretty sick at first glance, but it's a shame that the controls suck major donkey ass. It is really tough to power slide, and what's up with driving over these portals? They seem pointless to me. After trying it for around a minute, I just quit the game mode and moved on. Not worth my time. It also didn't help that Mater later had to be the center of attention once again.
Oh, I want to be a monster too.
Oh, wah. Go suck on some carrots, why don't ya? However, as I was playing through the game, I noticed the controls and the hit physics are still the same, meaning that I don't always have full control of Lightning with his movements and drifting. Sure, the power sliding is a little better, but it still won't work as well with the other sharp turns. It's almost like I'm experiencing the same game as the previous title. And as for the car physics, what's up, dude? Man, that never gets old. All jokes aside, I'm still not a fan of them, as explained before, that it doesn't feel realistic when crashing around. Almost feeling like bumper cars, if you will. Kaping Lightning? Really? It should be more like... Wow. Sorry, I had to. The joke was right there. So I should mention the minigames, and they're okay. There are a few ones I like. For example, Fuel Frenzy, when you have to drive through a race and collect fuel to continue the race. If you can't collect any in time, the race ends. There's also Ramon's Rim... There's also Ramon's Fuck. English, damn it. English. There's also Ramon's Screw it. There's also this minigame where you match the buttons together to earn points. I'm getting real bad vibes here because Ramona's doing his mating call dance. Also, this reminds me, and it has to be questioned once again. How do cars actually do it? And as different these minigames are, I like some of them, while others not so much, and it does come from personal preference. Although tractor tipping is back, so that's nice. The OST here is mixed to me. Gone is the pop rock genre and replaced by bland techno songs, plus some instrumental pieces from the previous game. And even though Life is a Highway is finally in a Cars game, praise be to Car Jesus, but it is the only good song here. And when you take one good song and put it next to the rest of the generic songs, I'll always be putting on Life is a Highway, no matter what. And of course, like the first game, when grabbing enough points throughout story mode, you can unlock cars as well as art so you can view concepts during the production of the game. If that is something you are into. Cars Made National was a game I didn't think of highly back in the day, and now fast forward to today, at least I can appreciate the improvements with the open world and the races themselves. But it doesn't mean that it's a good game. The controls handling is still the same, the story felt rushed, the main menu is lazy, and the new characters are somewhat boring to say the least. Something triggered my mind as I was playing this game, and here's a debate for you all. As I was playing through Made National from start to finish, I couldn't help but notice that I get reminded about Cars the video game every so often. From the look of the game, to the design sets of radiator springs, and I have believed I've come up with the conclusion that this is not a sequel. Cars Made National feels more like DLC content. You might as well should have called this game Cars 1.5, the video game if you will. And while it's not exactly a massive issue, it does bring this game down to having its own identity and branching out. And it's probably one of the game's biggest flaws in my opinion. So now every time I play Made National for the foreseeable future, I'm always going to have constant reminders and be thinking about the first installment, which shouldn't be the case for video game sequels. You are more than welcome to give this game a go if you like, but I don't think it's anything special in my eyes. And as far as Cars Race-O-Rama is concerned, well, that's a story for another time. But anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. I thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. My name is Justin Hurst, telling you to keep calm and keep playing video games.